I'm going to call the meeting to order. This is a meeting of the Finance Committee. And we first have Skip Donnell, our fire chief, here to talk about his budget.
Good evening.
It didn't at first when we had it before, but there was a chapter.
Not a lot of change.
No, there isn't. I can explain the small changes that there are. Most of the budget is level funded, but we can go down through it item for item. Basically, starting with the
Radio man.
The first page basically starts with fire department salaries. That's a salary for myself, the chief, small stipend for the deputy chief, captain, and the lieutenants, as well as the secretary and treasurer. It was $5,686 last year. I arbitrarily put an increase in there. Obviously, that's predicated on the select board and the finance committee deciding if there's going to be any part-time increases. So,
Okay.
but I did put a slight increase there. The other increase is in fire department wages. Firefighters were paid $15.86 only when they're fighting fire or performing emergency services. The select board, partway through the year, because the police department was having a hard time retaining part-time officers, upped that hourly rate to $17 an hour. So that increase from $44,579 to $47,600 is due to that increase in the hourly rate. We average about 2,800 hours of paid time for firefighters throughout the year. So that's what that increase is. It's from what was $1,586 to the $1,700. The only increase in the operating expense, which was $22,887, is two items. Number one, the dispatch costs went up slightly for this year, our cost for this year. And I'm not sure, the $180 for propane got dropped last year, but we do have propane at the fire station, and it basically operates our generator for backup power there. So I put that line item back in.
You know what I heard today? Well, you don't think of it, but some of the people down on the coast that lost power, they have generators, gasoline, not propane.
Oh yeah.
Where do they go to get gas?
Yeah, they can't. Yeah.
So this is propane.
This is propane, and it's for the station generator. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was an increase from $22,887 to $23,175.
Okay.
Hose and equipment, level funding this year, $9,000. Inspection fees, level funding that at $3,000. And hydrants is a fee that we pay the Northfield Water Company for the hydrants that protect the town buildings. That's level funded at $5,460. Fire station maintenance, I'm level funding at $19,800. Doesn't look like oil costs are going to be substantially higher. Hopefully electricity costs will be about the same. So I level funded the fire station maintenance budget. And then the fire pond maintenance account, level funded that at $3,000. So the total budget for operating the fire department went from $1,113,412 to $116,863.
Okay, very good.
So pretty much everything's level funded except for a couple of increases, small incremental increases in the budget.
Anybody have any questions? I think it's fine.
No, I have no questions. It's fine. All presented, all set.
Okay. Then,
Capital expenditures?
did you say something?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Capital, yes.
Okay, I had put in and this is an arbitrary number because we're really not quite sure at this point. The fire station site design. We're at a point where we're going to have to come to the town for some additional monies, the actual site design and whatnot. So I had arbitrarily put in the amount of $50,000. I think we had talked about $35,000, but it depended on how much we were going to do. So we will hopefully have a better idea on that within the next four weeks or so, I would think.
Talked about an article
Okay, yeah.
for
Is there an article for that?
For this, yes.
Yeah.
And for the fire truck.
Okay.
Well, the fire truck is next year,
2019.
right?
That's next fiscal.
2019.
Well, 2019 is what we're doing the budget
Yeah.
for.
Well,
Well,
yeah, so
it must be
is this the
2019.
calendar year or fiscal year?
Yeah, this would be for the upcoming 2000.
2019 for both of them.
Next year.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, 2019.
So we won't have the article this time.
Well, no.
Oh, yes.
Yes, you will.
2019
Yes, you will.
Is this
July
year, but
1st.
that's what I'm saying, is
So you're
it?
gonna have the 50,000 and the 350 both as articles.
You're talking about both for
Yeah,
this year?
yeah.
All right.
For this year.
Now, are you looking for the fire truck borrowing?
That is up to, that is up for discussion. This is an estimate about what that would, about what a used aerial ladder will cost. Our aerial just went through, it would not pass inspection. We had to actually do some cross beam under the cabinet, under the compartment,
Yeah.
body work and actual steel framing that had rusted out on the truck. It's a 1979 vintage piece of equipment. So we're not looking to go new. We're looking to go a good quality used piece of equipment. This ladder truck that we acquired from Long Island, Selden Fire Department, has served the town very well for almost 20 years. And we're looking to do the same thing, purchase a good quality used aerial.
They're out there, aren't
Oh yeah, they are. They are out there, and we're starting to look, to look towards that. So that's what we're looking at for that amount. I'm not sure if we would borrow or bond. I know it's been discussed a couple different ways with our previous town administrator, and I haven't really talked with Willie or the select board at this point in time as far as which would be the best avenue to go.
So you're putting in two articles then, or to the select board to see if they're,
Yeah.
Okay.
There also might be some gift money that might go towards to defray some of this, but we're not sure at that point.
Are you thinking maybe from the upcoming school, maybe, or what?
No.
No, there's nothing coming from the school, I don't think, for at least another year. Although I would like to, we may be entertaining a fee for services for the responses. Fire department has had quite a few responses up there during this winter, which is obviously
False
cost.
alarms going
Well,
off,
false
is there
alarms,
water?
we had a broken sprinkler pipe that flooded the Dolan Library. We've had broken steam mains that are filling the buildings with steam. It's just because of lack of maintaining the building's
So
temperature.
you're not billing them for that?
At this point, we have not. We never built NMH. We have not built Thomas, the college. But the calls seem to be increasing, and it's more because the buildings are not being maintained as they used to. So it's costing, we're having more responses.
So by not billing them, are you setting a precedent saying that, okay, we didn't bill you in the past, we're not gonna bill you now? I think
No,
that you
no, we're
probably should
not.
think
No,
about
we're
that.
not. Well,
billing them.
that's the discussion between the select board and myself.
Didn't you at one time in the past, when NMH was operating,
Yes.
have so many false alarms and then?
We would give them 3 false alarms for the systems. But if the false alarms were caused by the students, okay, especially in the dorms, then we would bill them for the cost of the response. And that actually came out of the dorm fund for that dorm. So we have billed in the past, when it was occupied. And I think we gotta take a good hard look at possibly billing in the future.
Yeah.
So
And the ladder truck, that would be primarily used there most of the time.
it's
right?
used,
'Cause those
well,
are
it's
college
used there,
buildings.
I would say it's used there, it's for protection probably for 50 to 60% of the time. We use it substantially on chimney fires, and of course we have larger buildings on Main Street. We have a lot of the larger houses, we've used it extensively, being a volunteer department. But you take on the chimney fire, if you got a ladder of the house to get to the chimney, you're using 6 people to do it. You have to have 2 to foot it, you have to have 4 to raise it, then you have to have 2 up on top, 1 midway, and 1 on the bottom. With an aerial, if you can get the aerial close enough, 2 people
One at the bottom,
can do
one at the
that.
top.
1 to operate the ladder, 1 down the tip. So it cuts down substantially on the manpower that we need. And it just gives us better and safer access to the roofs, especially when we're dealing with slate roofs, We're dealing even on the smaller residential homes, metal roofs now, that you can cause a substantial amount of damage if you start throwing ladders. So the aerial makes a lot of sense from a manpower standpoint. And we've used it successfully on several instances where we've been able to position the ladder and cut the fire's progression off. We did it on the railroad tie fire. As stupid as it sounds, but the best thing to cut that whole array of ties was we placed the aerial ladder ahead of where the fire had expanded, and we just deluged it and stopped the progression of the fire. So we only had about a quarter of the amount of railroad ties that could have been involved, cut it off with the aerial truck. So it's a vital piece of equipment for the community.
The donation,
Was a while ago.
they aren't gonna say much yet, I guess.
Yeah.
It's private, I think.
Yeah, it is.
So we'll
Yeah.
have to hold on that.
So that will be further down in discussion. Obviously, it'll be well before town meeting.
Yeah.
So as far as that's concerned,
But I think
yeah,
the.
go ahead.
I'm sorry. I've got a quick question. Since
Yeah,
you've been
Brian.
up to, responded up to the campus, because you viewed it, have they actually started to do any work at all up there?
No,
Well, they did one building down the end. They did McGuan, didn't they? Didn't they do one of the buildings? Put the new roof on, put all new copper up there,
I think they put a new roof on
Brand new roof on
because the
there.
roof was leaking. That's all they've done.
But they haven't
They've done nothing else
On the
interior.
inside? Oh,
They've
okay.
not done nothing else for upgrading or starting to maintain the normal heat in the buildings. That is still
Really?
not doing anything.
oh, that's the
Yeah,
problem.
yeah.
Especially
So-
since they're supposed to hopefully open this fall.
They don't.
Honestly. The other thing I want to ask is, the other thing is a lot of communities that what they've done to avoid the issue of picking and choosing for doing fees, they institute bylaws in which they set the fees clearly and the regulations. So this way you don't have a fire chief or police chief getting involved and, oh, we'll let it slide for you, give you a break on this. They set it clearly for police false alarms and for the service calls by the fire department. That way, again, it's not open to discussion. It's clearly on the bylaws. This is the way it is, and that's the way it's going to be. So that's what a lot of communities have done. So that way, again, you're not held in a position of people trying to lobby you not to pay.
I mean, a response to an alarm up there, if it's caused, like we had the steam main broken into one of the art buildings. The cost of that alarm is $200, $300 per run. When they had the broken sprinkler, I mean, we literally had 5 to 6 inches of water in the carpeted area on the lower level of Dolben. And we did our best to squeege as much of that water out. And once we got the worst of the water out, obviously we turned it back over to their, to Steve Wiggins, their maintenance people. And then they did the vacuuming of the carpets and whatnot. But I mean, we are obligated to prevent any further damage. So we, and that call probably cost the town probably close, with all the labor that we were there for several hours, probably $1,500 in costs. So I don't think, I don't know as though you can come up with one set fee. You could for an alarm, but for an actual
Something like that.
something
would
like
not be
that, we went
high.
there repeated
You
times.
probably have to do an hourly thing, basically.
Well, that's
Pay
almost
them,
that's almost what I would be leaning
Yeah.
for,
Yeah.
depending upon the severity of the call. And you also have Redemption Christian Academy, and we respond up there numerous times. They also, because of not maintaining a building well, they broke a sprinkler system. Is nowhere near the extent of the Dolben Library at NMH, but there again, there are costs involved, and if you're going to start to charge one, you have,
Oh, yeah,
you
you'd
have
have to
to.
have a policy.
It has to be
that covers
equitable
everybody.
across the board, I would
Correct,
think.
and especially
Okay.
too, if they say you're picking and choosing
Yeah.
who you charge
Right.
to. And the other thing is, since obviously they're taxes exempt,
Right.
I mean, for us to shoulder the burden.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the thing of it.
However,
People
They have
think,
insurance, correct?
Not to cover routine alarms.
Really?
No.
No, they only
No.
have property
No.
damage.
That's only
Wow.
yeah, exactly.
now, has the selectmen made any effort to talk to them about a pilot, or haven't they had a chance yet? Payment in lieu of taxes, pilot program.
That's a program that gets exercised through the Board of Assessors, and they are in the works.
Okay, are they
They're
doing that?
trying to do something with them.
Okay,
Because as per the law, they're not required
no.
to do anything.
Mhm.
So we're trying to meet in the middle somewhere.
Hmm.
So that's where we are right now.
Okay.
And not knowing that process and where the town is in that process, I don't want to all of a sudden promote, charging them and whatnot, and
Yeah.
then put a monkey wrench in that. But on the other side of the coin, our call volume and cost is increasing to the campus on the north. There's no question about it.
I think that's good information for the assessors to know then,
Yeah.
when they're, that gives them some ammunition, I would say, I'd call it. But I think, people don't realize that, okay, we have a tax exempt property like that, and they still require fire, police, and if they,
EMS.
yeah,
People on
and
site,
EMS
yeah.
up there, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's cost to the town, and then the benefit is questionable.
The only thing is, in all honesty, pilot programs really don't provide a lot of money to.
Oh, no, you're not gonna get
You
any.
get very little in the communities, even from colleges with large endowments have been very
Oh, yes,
parsimonious in
I
trying to
think-
give money
Yeah.
to the community because they believe they're doing you a favor by providing jobs and that. But they
Yes.
don't look, or bringing in business into the community, but they very rarely give anything significant in a pilot, And the history that Western Mass has not been very good about getting money
For
from
all
these
the colleges we have
Yes,
in
so
the area,
I'd say we have to temper our expectations of what we were
Thank
But-
you.
gonna get out of them. Yeah.
but I think you're right, you don't want to interfere with this.
If there's negotiations going on or whatever, I don't want to throw a monkey wrench in the
Nope.
middle of that. But on the other side of the coin,
They
the
have-
taxpayers need to know that our volume of calls is increasing. out there.
Yes, that's good.
And some of it, from my perspective, is due to lack of maintenance. And that's only, if it continues to be lack of maintenance, it's only going to incur more and more and more.
Good. And I don't think, the last I heard, they had not been approved as an educational institution yet.
Not yet.
Not to my
Probably
knowledge.
this month, their meeting.
I think it's supposed to be
State Board of
March,
Education
yeah.
meeting.
So they're talking about students coming in September?
They probably won't if they don't get their act together. I don't know, 6 months.
But if they don't get it in March, they won't be.
That's only a year.
No time.
Yeah.
How about a quick question?
Yeah.
Your webpage, is that back up and running? Jill was down?
No, I didn't know it
It
was
was
down
down,
again.
because I sent people there for fire permits to sign
Okay.
up, and
It was down again.
something was wild. No, well, that was
Okay.
a few days ago, so
Okay.
I didn't check it today.
I'll
but-
find out.
Yeah.
We did have a problem with the server with our provider.
Okay.
I'll check on that to see if it's back
Well,
up.
I just have to turn it on. I can go.
Yeah.
I'll check it when I leave here.
Okay.
tonight.
Okay, I'll double check on that.
Yeah.
The last item is and this is a rollover from previous year's request, and that would be for a new chassis for the rescue truck. The rescue truck, the body is aluminum body. The body's in very good shape, but the chassis is a 1985 or 6 vintage chassis. So we would be looking to probably put a new chassis underneath that. That's I put it down there as 2021. It probably could go another year or two, depending upon budgets and whatnot, but that's what I had put it in for. And then the big ticket item that has no number at all
Oh, it's free.
is the fire station.
free.
Yes.
That is still an unknown at the moment, at the
Well,
process
now-
that we're at.
You told me the other day there that, just to so people know, the deed has been, you've got to have an article to change the wording of the deed.
There's going to be an article that Willie is working on along with town council. There will be an article on the town the annual meeting, basically to take the property. I think from
Eminent
ourselves
domain?
is the way you spoke about it.
By eminent domain.
Inhabitants of the town of Northfield.
To the town.
To, yeah.
Right.
Oh, I see.
They researched. I mean, the legal team that did it. They researched way back into colonial times, way back when.
Yeah.
And it kept referring to belonging to the inhabitants of Northfield, and I think this predated the town being established. So that being the case, the town is now established. So I think we have to take it and it's like a limited eminent domain. We basically have to take it from ourselves to ourselves.
Okay,
But,
with a little
but that has to be a town meeting vote to take
Yeah,
place
yeah.
to clear the title. Once that is done and moved forward, then the deed can be registered with a completed title, and we're
So it
good to go.
clears it so the
clears it.
property is okay to go ahead.
Or
Why
whatever. Yeah.
Did
Yeah.
this not come when they built the fire station? They had that problem. They had to have that problem, or they just went. And built it.
Probably back then. I mean, the school was there before, so they
Sure.
Assumption, huh?
they assumed.
Sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
and they also assumed probably when they built the school back then, it really wasn't an issue. So,
No.
but
Interesting.
because you're looking at financing and we're looking
Oh,
at
yeah.
bonding,
Oh, yeah.
and
Gotta
whatnot,
have
we
it.
have to make sure that it's
Yeah.
done and taken care
The
of.
key
So.
takeaway from this version of eminent domain taking from a traditional version is that there is no money that requires to be placed into escrow, and there is no fair market valuation required to take it from yourself in this situation. I know the voters who may be listening may be wondering about that, so there would be no additional charge beyond what town council generally does in reviewing the articles for this.
Okay, that's good then. So, design is your next step on that, then?
Yeah, we have to do some borings, we have to do some more work before we can actually get down to actually the design phase, but yeah, this would be the next step, the next phase, is actually getting into more of the design work. We've done the preliminary, work as far as, the highway department provided a backhoe, there were test diggings done, but now there have to be borings done to know, as far as foundations, if you need
How
anything
deep?
sub-work,
Yeah.
all that type of thing before
Yeah.
we go any further, so.
So this $50,000 here, is that associated to the
Station,
the public safety complex?
yes, public safety complex, excuse me, yes, yeah,
So I wrote the article for 68,825.
okay. Okay,
Okay. Any further questions on that?
Nope.
Then we skip is also the emergency management director. And he's got his budget here. Same,
Same,
4,000.
we're level funding at 4,000. 3,500 of that is the reverse 911 system, that's for the purchase services. And the $500 is for other civil defense supplies, which in all honesty, I haven't been using that part of it, but the fire department has been funding our supplies.
Okay.
But it's the time that I actually bring some of the money out of that to cover that, like paper and postage and that kind of stuff. The meetings are getting to be more and more. Massachusetts Emergency Management is getting more involved in a lot of different operations. So there are quarterly meetings that I have been going to down in Agawam, as well as there's been some training sessions. There's a new rollout of another MEMA program that's going to require some fairly extensive training and work done on. It's a comprehensive emergency management plan called the STEM plan, and that's all been reworked and whatnot. So there's going to be some upcoming work for that too. So,
Okay.
but yeah, that's basically. But we're level funding.
And nothing now from Vermont Yankee, that's all, that ended, that's why
We got a
Is
check.
that the end of it?
I think there may be one more coming.
We're talking about those quarterly things. that
We used to be the
were-
quarterly, and now I think you got one that I hear about 3 or 4 months ago.
I would have to.
Yeah, and I think there may be one more coming
And
before
that's the
it's
end.
closed out. Before that's the end. Yeah, and right now that's where the salaries are coming out of. They always have so. And the salaries I've level funded. I mean, as far as this doesn't show in the omnibus, but it level funded the salaries. We're gonna flip flop some of the names, but the salaries are not gonna change. So
okay. Sounds good.
pretty uneventful.
Yeah. Any questions on any of it? No? All set? All set? All right, you have any questions of us or anything? Don't
Not
ask.
really. Don't ask, don't tell.
That's right.
I understand that the budgets are going to be tight and whatnot. I know you folks have shared that with us. We always try to do our best to be as frugal as we can and operate as well as we can within our budget. I do have to say that we've got a very vital fire department. We are exceptional. Right now we've just lost a couple of younger people because they've ended up moving out of town because housing is not easy to get to for especially young people and young couples starting out. So We've lost a couple of our younger people, but we are at 30 plus members. We have a good response, good training. So
That's good, because a
and-
lot of
a lot of towns are
especially West
struggling.
County, they're having trouble, aren't they?
a lot of towns are struggling. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's getting tougher and tougher sometimes, but
Yeah.
and employers play a big role in it too. Having employers that can employ people locally, number one, and then allowing them to leave, at the drop of a hat, or the ring of the bell, or whatever you want to call it, is getting harder for employers to be able
Yes.
to do that as
Yeah.
well. So, but we are alive and strong and well, and hopefully we'll continue to do that. And I think I attribute a lot of that to our junior firefighter program, because we started at a young age.
Yes,
And
that's
by the
good.
time they're 18, they are probably 75% trained as far as knowing what it takes to be a volunteer called firefighter. So they've already been introduced to the workload and the membership and also the commitment, because it's giving back to the community. And we've got a good junior program still, and that's where a lot of our current firefighters have come from. So,
Yeah, that's good. I think
Yeah.
it's a good way to bring them along, so,
Mhm.
yeah, well, we appreciate the fact that you're,
Yeah.
conscious of the
Mhm.
tightness of the money and the fact that campus taxes are gone,
Mhm.
so whatever we spend is coming strictly out of the taxpayers
Yeah.
and homeowners
Yeah.
now, so that's what we have to think of, so. They had a good breakfast.
Yeah, the juniors did a pretty. No,
Yeah.
they can even serve pancakes. But no, they do. No, we for the day there was snowy and whatnot. We still had a pretty good turnout for the pancake breakfast. So
Yeah, I thought, gee, this is too bad, the weather,
yeah,
but
yeah.
good.
But it's as much a public community event that it is
Yes.
fundraiser for us
Yes.
anyway. So,
Yeah,
but yeah, we appreciate the people that came, and those who didn't missed some good pancakes, maple syrup, and whatnot. So
yeah, very good.
okay. Any
But-
other questions?
I noticed that, I thought, at the time I was there, the tables weren't all full, and
Yeah.
usually they are.
Yeah, usually they were bustling a little bit more. We still served, I think it was almost 90 people
Good,
total. And
yeah,
we're usually around 100, 125, 135. So we were down a little bit,
yeah,
but it was pretty steady throughout the
yeah,
morning. So
that's good.
yeah,
Yeah.
we did good.
You're right,
Yeah.
people look forward to it as
Yeah.
a chance to see people and talk, so.
Oh yes, yeah.
All right, thank you,
Okay. Have a good evening.
thank you, you too. Bill, you're on if you want to be, or you're early, but no, you're not. You're too early, couple minutes, that's it. I asked Bill to come in for this. Bill submitted the Ag Commission budget and the Conservation Commission, because he's chairman of each one, I guess, right?
Yep.
Okay. I noticed on the Ag Commission that you went up, let's see, a couple $100. It was 500, now it's 7. It's 200. So
No, you went
It's-
up here and here, that's the amount.
it's 5 and 2 is 7.
Yeah.
250, you dropped that one $50, but he went up $250 on this one. So he went up on supplies.
Yeah, well, it's a project we're thinking about trying to do. It's probably a 2-year project, so we don't know the cost exactly, but it's gonna be a lot more than $200.
Oh,
So
some
I
kind
figured
of
we'd-
publicity or?
Yeah. It's kind of basically what's happening in Northfield's fields.
Northfield what?
Fields,
Fields? Oh, I know, you did the barns a while
Right.
ago.
yeah.
So this will be the farmland really, the fields?
Yeah, what's growing in Northfield.
Yeah, yeah,
Some type of a video and audio.
yeah.
It's in the working stages, but I'm sure we're gonna spend some money this coming year, but
Yeah,
probably be a 2-year, but
I see, okay.
that's the reason.
Uh-huh. It's changing over the years, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
What's being grown here, yeah. Any other questions anybody has about that?
Nope.
Okay. Then the other one is your Conservation Commission, and that one's gone up just $16, which was in the dues and membership. So you belong to what, a statewide group?
State, yeah, but you're gonna get probably over $3,000 back from this year.
Oh,
We've only spent $192 so far, out of the 3616, is it?
okay.
Because we don't have any help.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not looking at anybody. That's the reason for it.
Yeah.
'Cause we've been over 16 months without any secretary, administrative assistant.
Not able to find anybody.
Anybody.
Huh, that's too bad, so.
That was the biggest part of the budget.
Yeah,
But along with that goes supplies and what have you.
okay.
There's only one person's gone to a conference,
Yeah,
and that's your next article, because the bill got mislaid, so
oh yeah, meetings and seminars you've got, yeah.
Oh, he's talking about a special article.
Oh, that, yeah.
but it's all goes towards not having any help.
Okay, well, the article that you're talking about is, now generally we aren't talking about articles until after the select board has done it, but just so it give you a chance to explain it if you want, there's an article that you've talked to Willie about and so forth, and that is $4,000 to obtain the services of a forester to prepare for a logging project on 50 acres in the town forest. Do you want to tell a little about that, Bill?
Well, that's something the stewardship committee came to us about. They're under the
Subcommittee of the yeah,
Yeah, kind of a subcommittee. I
okay,
mean, they're on their own, but they
yeah,
report back to us.
I see.
When we bought was given the state forest,
Yeah,
that whole project, a licensed forester did a whole survey of the timber and what was there, and part of that was at some time improvement project should be done to clean out some of the scrub brush to promote the healthy trees,
oh,
and this would be a start of it.
yeah,
There's quite a bit of cordwood that would be able to come out of that, but it won't pay for a regular a harvester to come in
oh,
to, they won't get enough out of it with the cordwood to pay to
I
do
see.
the pruning and trimming. That's just in the planning stages
okay.
also.
Now this forester, in other words, is the one that comes in and tells us to cut this, cut that.
Yeah, they mark the trees
Mark
and what
which
have
ones
you.
need to come down.
Yeah, and we have to pay for that,
Yeah,
them to come in and do that, but
okay,
it's there. We're hoping to get enough out of it for them, so it would be a swap instead of spending money.
yeah,
We're trying to maybe get a private person, maybe just to get the cordwood to do a lot of the trimming.
oh,
We don't know. We're trying.
yeah,
This
Make a
is
swap
also
that-
just in the
Yeah.
planning stages, but we're hoping to get started in this next fiscal year, so.
Mhm.
um,
Okay, so this will be up to the select board whether they're going to recommend inclusion of the article or not at this point. Okay, anybody have questions about it? No? Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay,
Appreciate you coming in.
okay, yeah, all right,
Okay, Bill.
bye.
Bye. Good night. So in other words, on the fire, two of them for the same year.
The article, yeah.
Yeah, that's what was, that was, that,
18.
that should be 19 along with it.
Right.
Yeah, got it. That's what made me think we had annual rather than the other. I sent out this afternoon a couple of things. We had the planning board as level funded. He had said that at one point, and I sent that out. And then he has sent in the actual form, and it turns out to be a reduction out of a budget of 2,000. The budget is now 2,970, which is a reduction of $985. So I sent that out to people today. Debbie is right up to date, and late this afternoon I sent out the February balances that she's got done now. So. Okay. When did your group meet the emergency services facility?
Yeah, we did meet, and again, it was the same issue as what you were mentioning, the deed. We would be seeking, funding at the annual town meeting for the next. We had delayed it, and then we had sought to the next fiscal year for the next stage of, for the public safety building committee, and the other thing is we're looking to obviously have some type of, we're planning to hopefully get together some kind of presentation for the meet and greet on April 7th. And again, to the department heads we're talking about, to about either open houses or getting pictures and videos of their facilities to show their shortcomings to the townspeople.
Yeah.
And,
That's good.
and like I said, that was pretty much it.
Yeah.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I would like to formally and respectfully request that we try to adhere very closely to the agenda. Just because there's some confusion that I had on one of the budgets, and the ESF committee is not on this agenda.
Something is not on the agenda?
Right. So questions regarding the ESF committee's process and such, I wanted us to really stay close to this agenda.
Well, I'm sorry, but we have, by saying down here, we've got reports of meetings attended representing Finance Committee, and that's where he always reports.
Yeah.
So it's a little out of sequence, but it's just following the...
Did you want me to present my budget tonight? Or do you want
I
to
think
go?
that'd be best.
Yes, why not? I told Debbie she's holding off until next week, but yes, let's do Dan's township clerk's budget.
I can move over there or stay here.
I never know what to do in that situation.
I'll move over.
All right.
That's all right. Just make it a little different as far as the different side of the bench. I just want to see how you.
You want to get the full,
perspective,
the full
Yes.
experience.
Yes.
That's right.
Meetings and seminars have gone down quite a bit because I'm done with my summer courses for now. So I dropped that by quite a bit. As far as doing that, I'm down to $500.
Okay.
And that's to cover. There are some fall semesters that I'll be, or seminars that I'll be going to just to increase the number of credits that I need in order to
Oh, yeah.
get to the fact I can apply for certification.
Yes. Okay.
Postage is up. I had to get a bunch more envelopes for this year, so I'm up about $50.
Okay.
Let's go down. I'm down in vital records because a lot of it's being done online now, so I can take care of it that way.
Okay.
The budget for dog supplies, I might have to increase that. Maybe not this year, but for the next year, I'm thinking of bringing on someone that's going to do the inspections for the kennels, because I'm running into some issues with the person doing it now, and I might have to have somebody with a little bit more experience do that. So I'm looking into doing that probably next year.
And which line is that under then?
That would be dog supplies,
Well, if it's for
but I might have to.
hiring somebody, it probably wouldn't fit under.
It wouldn't be under here, but it might be under the dog.
Well,
We'll have to do something because.
it might be under other purchase services, probably, really would be.
Yeah, again, it's not going to come up this year, but possibly next year.
Okay.
Dues have gone up. Well, they actually have gone. They're $300 as far as doing that.
Okay.
I'm into several different memberships. The Massachusetts, the New England memberships that I keep current. So I'm down on my town clerk expenses about $600 all
Yeah.
total.
Yeah. Okay.
Election postage is going to be $100. I've gone down in election purchases because I've got most of the things that I need. One of the things I'm researching are tablets for signing in, and I may go to that point, but I'm researching it to see if it's a viable thing. What happens now is you get checked off. With a tablet, it will be checked off and automatically registered to the state computer.
Oh, okay.
So it just makes it, takes one step away. Where else were we at here?
Well, that one was still at 4,000, wasn't it? The purchase services.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, it was.
Okay. Then you went down 800 for other supplies.
Yes, I've gone down 800 for that. They keep supplying me with supplies that I don't ask for, which I don't have to pay for the elections, envelopes and that sort of thing for early voting, for absentee voting and that. So that's something that I don't have to have in my budget. So I'm trying to keep it down a little bit.
Okay.
And knowing the current state that the town is in. What's the other one down here?
Census.
Census takers, as far as doing that. It has nothing to do with national, but the census takers, basically what I'm doing now, it has a lot to do with the street lists, and a lot of that is being done online, and I will be sending out hopefully another mailing for those people that I missed or were either not here or missed it the first time around. We're coming up though to the 2020 census, which is run by the government, and they'll be looking for some help. All they're going to be looking for is bodies. They don't care who's there. They just want to know how many people are actually in that structure.
Oh.
So that would increase the number of people that we have in our town, but they wouldn't necessarily be on our rolls. The only people I have on our rolls here are people who have registered to vote, kids that are under the age of 17, and then children. We have like 600 or 700 people that have not. They're kind of like not registered, but are members of the town. Mm-hmm. We have approximately 2,200 people that are registered voters in the town. Some of the things I'm holding on to from right now that we're going to be doing is codification of the current bylaws that were just passed last year. I'm in the process of trying to put together 2 or 3 companies that would do it so that I can see what the cost would be. It's going to be somewhere in the vicinity of around $10,000. Once I do that, a codification will be one of the items that will be on my budget probably in the near future. It's about $1,500 per year to keep that line item. Will it cost $1,500 a year? No, but if we max out and we have a huge increase in the bylaws or changes in the bylaws, it may go up to $1,500, or it may not be used at all.
Okay.
I still have about $970 that I have in an account that's still out there for equipment, for voting equipment, and I'm probably going to buy one more of my 4-man booth.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm going to be able to use that for
That
that.
you use for the early voting.
Early
that
voting,
time.
yes. As far as my goal eventually is to get rid of the long
Yeah.
and have ones that I can take down and move away, because there's a lot of things are going on in the auditorium, and I'd like to be able to move those out of the way so that other people can use that and then use them when I need to. So,
Takes a lot of labor to get those up and down, doesn't it?
the squares, the little squares?
No.
Oh no, that stays there all year.
Oh, I see.
It's
so
just
you're not-
pushed off to the side, but
Yeah.
it takes up a little bit of space as far
Yes,
as doing
true.
that. But if I can get rid of that, that increases some the floor plan of that
Sure.
particular area.
Okay. Questions?
Did we get,
Go
did
ahead.
I see something in the paper about state reimbursement of election?
We did get I had to submit the cost of running the early election, and they accepted it. So we're going to get money that will be given to. It will go through Deb. I don't even know if it's been released yet, but it is going to be released, I believe, because it's around. I think I submitted for around $900, but I see some of the other towns around were a little more frugal or whatever. But I had to have extra people come in for different times as far as doing that.
Yes, to whether that
But
came
I-
in.
Yeah, I saw it.
I
in
don't
the
think you've
paper.
gotten it yet, because it was they just passed that as far as doing that.
Yeah.
So, and
But
they're going to,
every little bit helps.
sure, and early elections are going to be on all state and national elections. So it won't be local elections unless we decided we wanted to do that, which I don't see that being a real issue, since the last election we had 147 people that voted last May, which was kind of disappointing. We do have some upcoming events. We have a nonpartisan caucus. I hope the people that are listening tonight come. It's an easy way of doing business. I need at least 25 people. I'd like to see that room filled, just because I'd like to see people get really interested in their town. So hopefully we'll see you or a lot of people tomorrow night.
6:30.
6:30 is when the nonpartisan caucus is, and that's
Yeah.
my commercial for this evening.
Yes. Okay. That's fine. All right. Thank you, Dan.
You're welcome.
Sounds good. And changes to the budgets that have been submitted. Debbie found something in the police budget that we can reduce, and the chief has agreed to it. It's something, why don't you explain? It's on the least equipment, not the smallest, the least, L-E-A-S-E-D.
Yeah, the computer leased equipment, that was a 3-year lease, that the last payment, well, it wasn't actually, it's more like a lease purchase. It was installation and purchase spread over the course of the contract, and the last payment of the contract is in this fiscal year. So that item won't need to be in the police budget anymore. The other general support for all of the town computers covers the general calls and problems for all of the systems. So that line can be eliminated from his budget, the computer line, which would reduce it by $8,000.
And Debbie talked to him about it,
Oh,
to the chief.
oh, yeah, definitely. I wouldn't.
No,
I
I know.
wouldn't.
I know.
Wouldn't do that to anybody.
No, I know. So we make that change. Alexander Hall, I brought that up one time a while back because of a commitment that we'd made, but Debbie checked it and said nobody has made any claim against that since it was last paid out in 2013. So I'm satisfied to drop it. If the select board chooses to, it's their decision. Okay. Pioneer budget has not yet been set. There's another meeting of the budget subcommittee. I believe they met last week, and they're going to meet again Thursday night And then I think the public hearing is the following week, so we should be hearing something soon on that, I hope. And I've also asked whether there are any special articles, and they probably do that when they finish up the budget. Just a comment about last week's meeting when Mark was in from the EMS and talked about possibility of a ambulance donation, which piqued the interest of some people in town, because it is to be at no charge, as I understand it, and it's all, Mark is, trying to figure out whether it's something they can actually use or not, which is a good thing to do. It's from the town of Acushnet, and the connection is our former town administrator, Brian Noble. So that would be a good addition because, as Mark described it, it's a paramedic usable ambulance that way. So, okay.
I just have one question.
Yes.
You were going back about the schools. Did the selectmen approve? Again, I'm asking if this selectmen approved the delay for them because they were seeking to delay it for approximately 1 month.
They submitted a letter.
They submitted, but the select board, has they approved the delay in their budget process, or are they?
The letter stated their disappointment with the
That's
request for delay.
Yeah.
So in other words, they didn't approve it. Okay, thank you, that's all.
Yeah,
Just
that's,
that issue.
and Bernardston, I think, did the same. I don't know about the other two towns.
Well, obviously, they need a majority of the community to get that request, and obviously that's tanked, so we can.
Yeah, that's the best we could do is express our
Yeah.
displeasure, I guess. So, planning board budget, we did that. Okay, let's do the minutes. We've got two. Beth couldn't be here tonight. You've got the recorder going for her. She likes to have it recorded as well as the TV, and Bonnie notified me that she couldn't be here tonight. So we have minutes from two prior meetings. Let's first take up February 5th. And you have those.
I move that we accept the minutes as presented.
I'll second it.
Motion has been made and seconded that we accept the minutes as presented for February 5th. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous.
I make a motion we accept the minutes for February 26th as written.
I second that.
Motion.
The question?
Yeah, I have a question about it.
Yeah.
I left for the EMS section of it, and I would like to have it documented in there that I wasn't here for that section of the meeting.
Right. Where is it?
So if we could just have a
Second page of it.
second page of it,
Yeah,
if we could just have a
second page.
notation
Wanted to
in
make a
there that
notation
I
that- right here.
Okay.
Yes, it was not.
What we put in that, how do you want us to word it? I was thinking,
I don't know, just if we could just, the way they've got there that I left the meeting for.
yeah, left the meeting, and then down below I can say you
Return
returned.
to the meeting, right.
Why don't I just
And when,
write that in?
When McEwen left, I left at the same time as McEwen, and I returned at 7:35 when Ford left.
Okay. McEwen and, I'll say, and Sue Kaczynski?
Right. Left the meeting, and then Thrower.
And returned after 7:35.
And down here where 40,
After 7:35.
okay. Okay, I've written that in and initialed the change. Thanks, Sue. All right, motion been, well, do you want to change the motion to read it?
As amended.
Yeah. And the
I'll
second?
make that motion.
Motion has been
You
made.
made the motion. I rescind my
That
motion.
the minutes of February 26th be approved as amended.
I'll second that then.
Motion made and seconded that we approve the minutes of 2/26 as amended. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Whatever.
I have to abstain because I wasn't here for that.
An abstention, okay. Alright, 3A.
Thank you.
Now, maybe I gave you the wrong one.
Archival paper, this is not archival paper.
Here's the archival paper. That one was mine. That better?
That's better.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. You can tell because now you've got her putting a clip on it rather than a
Yep.
stick.
I told her to take
Okay.
it apart and put it in.
Okay. I didn't see any other communications, did you? Nothing else?
Only what I brought up.
Yeah. Okay, now reports of meetings attended, and you've talked about that one. That other committee has never, Town
governance, I have had no communications at all.
okay, all right. Tony, CPC, since our last, this last week then?
We're on hiatus now for a little while.
Okay.
I don't know about the Heart Committee. Is that would it be appropriate to talk a little bit there about the Heart Committee? I mean,
Yeah,
just something that happened today or yesterday is that it has to do with obviously the school budget somewhere along the line, is that the Bernardston Selectmen have called a meeting for the 14th, I believe, of March to discuss closing Leiden Elementary School.
oh, Bernardston Selectmen have called
The
a meeting.
selectmen called a meeting. It was brought to our committee by one of our committee members to, not in those words, but it was a motion to amend the district agreement, just one part of it, or take out the part basically about all elementary school students would be educated in their towns.
Yes, yeah,
The committee, the Heart Committee, did not think that was a good idea at this time. And then out of the blue, I think it was, we get a message saying that the select boards would be invited to this meeting about closing Leiden Elementary School. I think you must have seen that.
Has
in there.
our select board's been invited to this.
Yes.
And it's an open meeting, so anybody
Yeah.
can go.
Huh.
I'm not sure where that came from, but it's out there.
I wonder how the Leiden people feel about it.
I don't know.
That's interesting.
I'm just asking, so you're saying Bernardston, their select board
Their select board.
they're requesting to change, are they looking to change the agreement to get rid of that language? Or are they stating we want to meet because we see the need of a neighboring community to close our elementary school?
The second.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah,
Not
that's,
not the thing about removing the language from the.
Yeah,
well, that's,
According to what I read, is to close close the Lyme Elementary School.
Getting to other towns' business, that's not a good thing.
no, I strongly agree with you, Dan. I'm surprised there's even
well,
such a thing.
just one thing that, and I don't know what effect it has, but they have one principal serving both, the Bernardston principal now covers Leiden as well.
Okay.
That's all I know about this.
You know, but still, they could say if they close it, say we agree to take, some of your students, if that's a thing, but to state that their position is to close an elementary school in another community, if that's the case, I'm just saying, that's stretching it.
Yeah,
And Tracy, I guess, had a previous commitment and was going to ask one of the other select board members to attend that.
oh, she wasn't there for it, you're saying,
She,
for the heart.
she got, when she received that, she has a previous commitment that night,
Oh, I see
and
what you're saying.
would not be able to attend
And we don't know
asked,
about the other
which
two.
one was going to ask one of the other select board members to attend
I
that.
see.
That's the last I heard of it.
Yeah, huh.
I think out of respect for the Leiden community, we should offer no further comment on that.
I agree with that 100%.
Yeah, I agree too.
Yeah. These, well, you don't know whether it means closing the building or not. Some real small towns, well, even here, our elementary school building is used for some other functions, like the cafeteria is used at times for other things, and sometimes the school building serves in those smaller towns as a community meeting place.
I just agree with the town administrator that we should respect the,
Sovereignty of the other
sovereignty of a neighboring community.
Yes.
That I
Yeah.
agree with strongly.
So,
Nothing, Tony, about Warwick or anything?
Oh, no, nothing
Okay,
on the wall.
good.
That's, probably a number of things. When this committee, the Hart Committee was formed, there was a feeling out there that that was the reason for the Hart Committee being formed.
Yeah, for the regional agreement. you're talking.
Well, right, but what to somehow influence closing the line.
I see.
It was out there.
Yeah,
It was discussed.
it's been talked
And
about.
that was not the reason that the Hart Committee was
No,
formed.
no,
But, and that was also one of the reasons why the Hart Committee did not go along with the proposal to put before the town
yeah,
for this language to be eliminated.
yeah. It's a low enrollment, it's a small town, they have some school choice kids, I guess, but it's been brought up in the past about whether it should, but, okay, all right, thank
The
you.
only thing is the original mission of the Hart Committee was just to simply update the regional agreement. That
That was the original,
was the original intent.
but it went from there to being able to somehow help the towns and the schools
I think,
to get.
I think the Hart Committee has to realize that they were there for fact finding, and they're basically there to report back to the school community or back to the communities with some ideas.
Yeah.
That's
not
what we
push
were.
forward an agenda that they might have.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's was the thing was to get the feel of what was happening in the community, bring that back to the maybe even the school committee as far as doing that, but they still have no pull whatsoever, and they should never have any pull whatsoever, other than giving information out and trying to get information.
That's what we. That's why we applied for and got this grant to get more data and to find out more. To so we can more intelligently make any recommendations. So, you know, that
So something that I'd like to report on a positive note, going in that direction, the Heart Committee has received a proposal to the RFP, which the Heart Committee will review soon, to get that information that you were just talking about.
So the RFP was to hire somebody to gather that.
to gather,
Exactly.
gather and analyze data.
Yeah, yeah. And the source of funds has come from Northfield and Warwick, using some of the grant money.
Grant, yeah.
Okay. All right, any questions anybody has on that? Okay. Then I've got down here preliminary budget account deliberations as time permits, which we can talk a little bit about. When we finalize things and start talking about it, we need coordination with the select board. The time for receiving articles for the annual town meeting has closed. I would expect the select board will be making decisions on those. Will we be doing it, well, if they had time to do it by tomorrow night?
They requested to receive those all by tomorrow. So they're
To receive them.
all of the articles, then they're going to prioritize them.
They're gonna get them tomorrow night and prioritize them at
No, by the next meeting.
by the following. But they don't meet for 2 weeks.
Well, we might encourage them. There's not quite as many as you would think that came in. We're actually very in line with what you guys did last year.
Okay.
And I think you guys are really tough and people listen to you. So I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised.
Well, of course, they're the usual boilerplate ones that we come up with, but
But I think the town overall has done a very good job at minding the fact that we have a little less revenue and being considerate of that. I think you guys will be very happy.
okay. Now, along that line, the tone of, I don't know if tone's the right word, but in thinking of which ones, of approving the budget requests and that sort of thing, we're under the levy limit. We were last year. And chances are we can be this year. Probably will be. The thing we need to think of is, are we going to spend up to that levy limit, or are we going to keep our spending below that to be considerate of the tax rate? And my feeling is keep the tax rate down as much as possible. It's gone up, there's no question. But we've seen over the years here's what Jack had given us. Now, just the last few years here, start with 15. It was 1665, then it went to 1589, then it went to 1645. You see, it dropped one time there and then up, and then it's up to 1786. So I think I'd like to hear your input on how you feel about whether, when we look at all the requests, we're going to think of the tax rate, or we're going to say, okay, we've got enough, enough leeway within the levy limit to spend more. But if you spend it, taxpayers are paying for it too.
I think what we could really need to do is look at the articles, look at the capital articles, see what it is, and see if there's things that really we could do without, and then set our goal at that point.
Yeah. As Willie said, the select board members have a system where each one prioritizes the request, and then they get together and do a composite based on that, and that's when then we'll hear from them about it. So it's just something to keep in mind, that even though Debbie told us the levy limit pretty well, she told us 2.5, what that would allow us last time, plus then new growth. And of course that's an estimated figure, and we can bring that down a little if we want to, whatever. So just something to think about. That's the way I feel about it. Is the thing, a lot of people were surprised at the tax bills this year. And the thing is, it has been affected by the campus because this campus isn't contributing to that spending. Now, while we've said right along, we did not use the campus taxes for the operational budget, it did help us with the articles, like you say, and the capital items that we could do. So if we don't have that, where does it fall? On the homeowners, really, because we have very little business. Okay.
So we're not going to set, I see here the next meeting is depending on the warrant article information. So if they're
Well, I can't say yet whether we're going to meet next week or not, because I want to see what happens tomorrow night at the select board meeting, how far they get with the capital plans and so forth. And then we'll be getting together. Usually they come to our meeting and talk about that. So yeah, it all depends really on that, and I'll know after tomorrow night whether we're going to meet next week or 2 weeks.
So you thought if they get their act together, you're thinking maybe next Monday if we would be meeting with the selectmen to go over what their priorities are. And
Yeah, but I sort of doubt that it'll happen that
so we're
soon.
probably looking at 2 weeks then.
Probably, but I'll know. I can't say for sure.
And even
right
at
now.
2 weeks, if we meet on a Monday, they would meet on a Tuesday if they didn't have a chance to go over it tomorrow night, right?
Right.
So would we think about meeting like on a Wednesday?
Well, traditionally, this group hasn't wanted to meet any other night but Mondays.
If you're worried about getting everything done before, April 1st, is that what we're trying to do? Everything
Yeah,
done?
but we've still got time enough with that.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll
Okay.
see how it goes. So
Bad idea. Let's just see what they do tomorrow with the
Yeah,
articles.
yeah.
I think it'd be a good idea if the select board gets the articles. Generally, they're not gonna be able to,
Not that
they're gonna
great.
wanna think about it a little bit.
Yeah.
They're probably
Nobody's
gonna
not gonna be able
push
to
it
just-
off to their next meeting,
That's
which
right.
will be after our scheduled next meeting. So the idea of
yeah,
meeting
the
on
next
Wednesday sounds like a good idea to me.
their next meeting will be the 20th, I believe, unless they're having one in between.
I think it's the 20th.
Yeah. I think you're right. They need more time to review them and think about them.
Yeah, I can't see that they get them, they say, okay, let's do blah, blah, blah.
No,
I don't
no.
think that's gonna happen.
No, I don't
Unless
think
they
so.
usually meet on the 13th, then
Yeah.
if they met on the 13th, we could meet on the 19th.
They usually don't meet until the 20th.
That's correct.
Okay.
If they met the 20th, then we would be meeting the 26th now. I think that we would then probably think about meeting on a Wednesday.
That's when we would have to if it goes until the 20th, yes. Unless they decide to have another meeting earlier. We don't know.
That'd be nice.
Yeah,
They meet in a
we'll
week
see.
Instead of 2 weeks.
We'll see after tomorrow night. I have been asked, the chairman has asked me about what our position is on the maintenance position and what we're recommending. And so I'd like to talk about that a little bit tonight, see how the rest of you feel. You know what I had said when they were here on the 5th of February for they came to our meeting and heard it. And the action that was recommended and they took was to eliminate the maintenance position line item and put it under the highway department and put the supervision of the maintenance person under the highway superintendent. And I've objected to it on the basis, I told them the reasons on the 5th here, and this is what because it contradicted a town meeting vote that created that position. And then, of course, they were going to give up one position on the highway department, one vacancy that they had. And then, of course, they've had the maintenance person some of the time making up for that. The position was created back in 1999, and then at one time it was suspended for lack of money. That was a selectman's decision, nothing that we did. So it covers, sometimes it kind of gets mentioned that it's the town hall, and it's all the town buildings, the town hall, library, fire station, elementary school, highway garage, and the sewer plant, right, that you brought up.
But they're not talking about eliminating the position, it's just the placement of the funding in the warrant. And the selectmen do have purview over where things are placed.
It's not eliminating the position, you're right, it's where it
So
sits.
it's more of a
where
policy, it's a policy decision on their plate.
And it's not on the agenda.
Yeah, I think that,
This is what now?
I don't see that on the agenda.
yeah,
Is it?
Yes, I think you do. If you look,
I don't have it in front of me.
preliminary budget account deliberations as time permits.
Right, that's not a budget deliberation.
Yes, it is, in my opinion.
Right, but again, this is the management purview of the town's.
I've been
board of
asked
selectmen.
for the finance committee's recommendation on it.
I think that might be something we would discuss with the board meeting here, maybe.
yeah.
We did it when they were here before, and it's since then that I've been asked what our position is. And
Well,
Willie, you
the thing
called me
is-
the morning after that meeting,
Mhm.
and you asked me how it could be changed. How could you tell your chairman how to make the change?
Mhm.
And
If
I
that
went over,
was her desire. I haven't
Yeah.
heard from her that that's her desire.
yeah, okay.
So
But,
I'm surprised that you received that information and I haven't.
I'm sorry.
I'm surprised that she has communicated to you that what you're mentioning and I haven't received that information.
Well, it just involved her asking me what the finance committee recommendation was, if we had made a recommendation, which I don't see anything wrong with her asking that.
No, there's nothing wrong with it asking. It's just it's really not on the agenda here.
I think it is, Willie. I mean,
and
I
it's a
draw up
settled
these,
matter.
I've been drawing up these agendas for a good many years, and putting down preliminary budget account deliberations, I think, covers. Why don't you want us to discuss it?
Because I believe it's been a settled matter. And my direct board who I report to hasn't asked me to look into it further.
Well,
The question is the issue of authority. If the select board has authority over the issue, then that's something we should address with them when they're present. The question is, I think then we should just express to them, if they're present, that we disagree with their decision, but that's the line
Yeah.
where we have to end right then and there. Because they
That's what they-
have the managerial and executive authority, but I think right now, for us, I'm just saying, let's to us address right now without them being present and if we want our viewpoint expressed to them, then they should be present at the time.
Yeah, so we could have a dialogue.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
But again, too, the other thing is, I think it's for us to just state our position. We're basically almost, saying we're challenging their decision-making. I think without them
No.
present is not
No,
something
I
we should
think-
do.
I think what
we
it
can
is-
express our opinion to them when they're present. I just think it's more appropriate, Lois. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I think with them being here, and we can express our, if you feel strongly that we disagree with your decision, they've already made a decision. So
Right.
the issue is, we can beat around the bush with it, but the thing is, it's been made. Then we should just express that, again, your disagreement when they're
Exactly.
present. And that, I think, is as far as we really actually can go with
oh,
it.
that's right, exactly. But that's what they want to know, she asked me
Well, then,
what the finance committee's position is on this.
well, the thing is, again, I'm just saying is if they ask you that in private and not during an official meeting, then really have a discussion on that in this vein right now I just don't think it's the right place. I think if they have a question to address to us, or we have a question addressed to them, it should be when they're present. I just think that's
Okay.
I think that's the correct way to do it.
Well, the idea was that then we'd be speaking as individuals. I think the idea was to find out what, as a board, we feel about it. But you're right, it's
I
their
think that
decision.
we can, when we have that discussion with them, we can express our opinions then. If they express our opinions now without that present, I mean, again, I just don't think it really accomplishes right now anything.
And I'm not sure what the issue is. Is the issue you want to just move the funding into one area than it is now? That's okay. I mean, that's fine.
Yeah.
But if it has something to do with we're not policymakers. We're here to look at the finances.
Correct.
If it doesn't change the finances, or it does change the finances, then we would make a statement. If it's going to cost more, do we agree with that? Yes. If it costs more, do we agree with that? No.
There's no change in the cost. It's the way it's being accounted for.
Yeah,
and changing.
well, then there's really nothing for us to really discuss because it has nothing to do with.
Oh, I think it does because of, as you say, give
But again,
them our opinion.
You can give our opinion, but again, we also have to respect also the select board's authority.
Oh, yeah.
We are here for budgetary, and if they're present, we can discuss back and forth about our viewpoints. But once they make that decision,
It's their decision.
it's their
That's
decision,
true.
and I think for us to just speak about it and disagree with it after the fact, now that it's been made, I think we're crossing the line into the, as Dan said, policy, and getting into, I think, encroaching on their authority in a certain way, Lois. I just really think right now again, this is not the time for this right now.
Well, when they come in, we can talk about it then
We
again.
can just express our opinion.
The
But again, too, that's our opinion. That's about as far as we can go. Because
Yeah.
again,
Oh,
we
that's-
cannot direct them. They have.
oh no, we can't.
So-
We don't have the authority.
I would like to table this discussion
Correct.
until the select board is here. And we
Okay.
can find out the reason that, they want to do this, or if it's just changing it from one venue to, or one point to another, that's fine. They're changing it from one account to another account, that's fine. as
That's
far as
my
I'm-
understanding, is that
And
the
if that's,
funding
and
is
if that's the whole thing, fine. I agree that's okay to do. But if there's reasons that we don't know that they want to do this, then maybe we would ask that question. Why do you want to do this? And that would be the only thing I would ask them, just to express why.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay. Well, you made a motion. I second Dan's motion. I
Okay.
agree with that.
The
All in
table-
favor?
To table.
Aye. Okay. All
Thank
right. What about an audit, Willie? When you talk about warrant articles, if there is borrowing for the emergency services facility, aren't we going to be required to have an audit?
Yes.
And what about, is there an article for an audit?
Yes.
There is. Okay. We'll see
I
that.
have a little Lois in my ear at home, and I kind of hear you in my head saying,
So-
really audit, really OPEB. I got it all.
Just a quick question. When was the last audit?
2011.
Okay. And what's do you have an idea approximate cost of what the audit will?
Between 17 and 25,000.
Okay.
And the company you guys used last time is very reputable. They've worked on the 2 other towns that I brought kind of out of receivership. The Scanlon and Associates are very good, and you guys did very well on that audit.
Okay.
Okay.
Did, speaking of the preliminary budget and articles, what's the status, has the school committee put forth an article about the lunch situation?
Not yet, that I know of.
We're all like waiting, like
Yeah,
with bated
yeah.
breath.
I mean, so that, they didn't have to get the article in
Of course
when
they
everybody
did.
has articles.
Of course they did.
Through kind of back channels, I think they have been kind of told that we would like to spread that over a few years, and I think that hopefully they'll be smart enough to do that, since there's no deadline for that, but we will see what they come up with.
Bernardston and I, speaking for Northfield, asked for 3 years to pay it, whatever it's going to come out to be. And we know it's up in the range of $240,000 And so you just think 50% when you think Northfield.
Right.
Or a little less maybe. So we're talking that amount of money. Well, the reaction was, if we have to wait 3 years for that money, how are we going to operate without it? Well, what have they been doing?
What have they been doing? It's been going on for how many years?
They borrow maybe or something. Yeah, many years. This has been going on. So it's
Well, that,
Yeah, but that's
the
a
other
debt.
thing is,
Yeah, well.
I would want also some type of, I hate to use not use the term audit, but somehow some type of control to make sure that this doesn't repeat itself.
Supposedly they're in the black, but
Yeah, but
not by a heck of a
supposedly,
lot.
that
for
doesn't
the
mean.
last 3 months, since school started, I think it is.
Yeah, I want to make sure that this doesn't happen again. What are their assurances? What kind of controls are they going to have in place to try to prevent a repeat of this and that? And again, I just think that I agree. It took them many years to get this to this place. I don't see the immediacy unless we were mandated by the state or to try to pay it off unless we some type of from the Department of Education, something that would require us to do.
I haven't seen a prescribed amortization schedule for
Yeah.
any Chapter 70 kind of
Yeah.
bonds.
It doesn't, I don't think there's any way they're going to make up that amount of money.
Oh, I
No, they're not
agree.
going to.
I agree, but I think that there's no requirement for us to pay it off. If there is no demand from the state for us to solve this immediately in the next fiscal year, then I don't see any reason why we can't 3 to 5 year period, as you suggested, 3 years or even go 5 years, that we can pay off and that. But I want some assurance that this is not going to, again, be faced with continuing operational deficits. Something has to be in controls, and they should be frequently reporting to the school committee, or hopefully they kind of notify us as finance committee of what their current financial situation is.
The last time I heard anything about that from the school committee is that, as you said, Lois, they are in the black of a few $100s, basically,
Yes,
from the beginning of the school year.
yes.
So, they're holding their own there. I don't know.
How are they holding their own on their operational budget for fiscal 18? Because
I
they
do
had
not know.
mentioned they were in look at it for facing a deficit in this current fiscal year.
Yeah.
That's another
Yeah.
question I want to ask.
I think so.
Again,
This-
we get
Yeah.
them in front of us, ask those questions, for us to start throwing stuff out there.
No, I understand that. I'm just saying that, again, when are they hoping to be before us?
When are they hoping?
Yeah, when are we hoping to?
When are we, yeah.
Do we have, how long do we have before we have to close out our responsibilities in business?
Well, they could actually, on the floor of the day of the town meeting, they could come present a budget then too, so.
Yeah,
Or they can take their budget and increase it then too, which they.
Well-
which they did last town meeting.
Well, according to state statute, they're supposed to have a budget before town meeting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but they can they can
Augment.
modify it.
Yeah, they can.
Well, I don't think they can go up.
Oh,
No.
they can't go
No,
up.
no,
They
can
can
go
go
down.
down.
no, they
They
could go
can't
down.
go up?
I
They
don't
went
think
up.
so.
They went
No, I
up.
think when
No, they can't go up on town meeting floor from what they requested.
they gotta request something and they
They
can't go up.
From
requested
what was
beforehand.
requested.
Yeah, we,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
Because
'cause
we
like,
recommended and they
We
said no.
recommended less, and
And
they
they
went,
said no.
No.
right.
Okay,
Yeah.
Okay.
all right, I understand now, sorry.
So, I don't know.
Okay.
Just something to consider. Can't do much about.
It's such
It might go into the budget in the
such
future.
a situation in such flux that, they don't know if they're gonna have a full-time superintendent, a part-time superintendent, a shared superintendent, a business manager. I don't think any of that is, settled.
No.
And there's no way we can get reassurances
Yeah.
from that until
That's true.
they figure out what's happening there. It's just,
Some of the same administrative people won't be there.
well, the superintendent's last day is July 1st.
Yes.
And they've been talking with different districts about combining
Yeah.
some services, superintendent, whatever. There's a lot of ongoing negotiations going on now.
Right.
So I don't know how to get anything done because they don't. It's such uncertainty.
Yes. Yeah.
The whole situation.
Right. Okay, is
Make a
anything,
motion that we adjourn.
Second it.
motion made and seconded that we adjourn, all in favor? Aye.
But you'll get back to us if we're gonna have a meeting, right?
Yes, I will.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.